Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Sugar, Circuits, and Catastrophes, by Random Bullshit 9. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin. Izumi Midoriya, known by her hero name NeuroNova, was a remarkable 19-year-old with a unique quirk that allowed her to process information at extraordinary speeds. Her quirk, NeuroNova, granted her hyper-evolved cognitive abilities, enabling her to analyze complex scenarios and innovate rapidly. However, this came with challenges, as her brain often overloaded, leading to a condition resembling severe ADHD. Izumi's personality was a delightful mix of chaos and kindness. She was often described as adorably eccentric, with a heart full of warmth. Her friends noted her tendency to speak rapidly, bouncing between ideas and projects, and her obliviousness to romantic gestures. For instance, when someone complimented her with a rose, she simply interpreted it as friendly behavior. Physically, Izumi was charming, with fluffy forest green curls and bright jade green eyes that sparkled with curiosity. Her attire typically included an oversized hoodie and a lab coat adorned with notes and equations. She radiated an infectious energy that drew people to her, often being referred to as a human serotonin nuke. Academically, she excelled at UA College, ranking at the top of her class, though her classroom discipline left much to be desired. She was often late or distracted, more focused on her inventions than on lectures. Despite her chaotic nature, her presence uplifted her peers, and she was under the observation of several therapists and scientists due to her extraordinary abilities. Izumi had a pet AI named Mikey, which she had built from a microwave, and her dorm room was filled with whiteboards covered in ideas and prototypes. She had a knack for solving problems in unconventional ways, once even completing a final exam on the back of a cereal box. Her emotional support animal, Machi, a domestic short-hair cat, played a crucial role in helping her manage her neurological challenges. Machi's calming presence and soothing purrs were known to reduce Izumi's stress levels significantly. The bond between them was strong, with Machi often protecting Izumi from unwanted attention. In her interactions, Izumi was known for her sweetness and her tendency to hug her classmates for emotional support. She had a unique way of expressing herself, often inventing playful terms of endearment and using metaphors that resonated with her friends. Despite her brilliance, Izumi faced several medical complications related to her quirk, including sensitivity to light and sound, which required her to wear special goggles and sound-dampening gear. She also struggled with sleep, often taking short naps throughout the day. In summary, Izumi Midoriya was a vibrant character whose intelligence and kindness shone through her quirks and challenges. Her journey was one of navigating the complexities of her abilities while fostering connections with those around her, all while maintaining her uniquely chaotic charm. Inko Midoriya sat in the child-friendly waiting room of Muzutafu General Hospital, trying to maintain a calm demeanor while holding a coloring book in her daughter's left shoe. Her daughter, Izumi, was energetically climbing a window, exclaiming that she was on a mission to become the queen of the sky frogs. "Izumi, please get down from there," Inko called out. "I'm climbing to space." Izumi shouted back, leaping off the windowsill and rolling onto the floor, brandishing a crayon like a sword. "Touché, floor. You win this round," she whispered to the linoleum. Inko sighed, feeling the weight of her daughter's exuberance. This was their fourth pediatrician visit in 2 months, and the evaluations had ranged from dietary suggestions to more serious recommendations. The last doctor had even noted that Izumi exhibited behavior consistent with a hyperactive goblin. Despite her boundless energy, Izumi was sweet and caring, often hugging strangers and offering to build them jetpacks made of marshmallows. However, her mind never seemed to rest, constantly overflowing with ideas and questions. Now, they were at Muzutafu's top neurological development specialist, Dr. Hisashi Sano, known for his straightforwardness and expertise. If anyone could understand what was happening in Izumi's mind, it was him. An hour later, in consultation room 3A, Izumi sat on the floor surrounded by toys and puzzles, having already solved them all. She was busy working on a stuffed bear that now had wires coming out of its head. "Don't worry, Mr. Barrington, Izumi assured the bear. You will live to squeak again. I'm uploading a better scream chip. Dr. Sano observed her while reviewing her test results. Midoriya-san, he began, have you ever heard of Quirk-induced hypercognitive DSF-NCTN? Inko's heart raced. No, is that bad? He looked at her seriously. Your daughter has a severe case of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Inko blinked in surprise. Oh, her brain activity is extraordinarily high, nearly twice that of Nizu, the principal of UA, he explained. Her IQ is unquantifiable by normal child metrics. She completed an adult-level problem-solving sequence in under 6 minutes, then expressed boredom. She said it needed more sparkles and moral ambiguity, Inko murmured, recalling her daughter's words. Dr. Sano continued, her brain operates on a level far beyond typical children, and her quirk is the reason. Inko's eyes widened. So it is a quirk. Yes, a rare cognitive amplification quirk we're calling NeuroNova. It enhances her neural activity, especially in problem-solving and information synthesis, but it has severe side effects. Like her ADHD? Inko asked. Exactly. It's a byproduct of her mind working at an accelerated pace, he confirmed. You'll need to see a specialist in quirk-related neurodivergence for further support. In the meantime, structure and routines will help her, along with emotional support animals. Inko considered this. Like a cat. Exactly, he replied. At that moment, Izumi joyfully announced that she had transformed a toy plane into a friendship missile that delivered hugs. Dr. Sano rubbed his temples. You'll also need a lot of patience. Later that day, Inko watched as Izumi dashed around their apartment, leaving a trail of colored ribbons. Their new cat, a calm rescue named Machi, lounged on the couch. Then, in a surprising moment of calm, Izumi approached Machi. Curled around her, and began to purr softly. The ribbons fell from her hands, and her energy seemed to settle. Mommy, Izumi murmured, Machi's magic. Inko felt a wave of emotion, realizing that perhaps everything would be okay. Machi blinked slowly at Inko, as if to say, you're welcome. Also, feed me. In a memo from the HPSC, Izumi was classified as a cognitive anomaly with a quirk called NeuroNova, indicating her exceptional intelligence and the need for long-term monitoring. The memo humorously noted her quirks and the calming effect of her cat, suggesting that they proceed with caution and a sense of humor. The Musutifu Cognitive Quirk Support Clinic was a serene place, designed to provide a peaceful environment for families seeking help. Dr. Shizuka Hanamiya, a child psychologist and quirk specialist therapist, stood in her spacious office, everything perfectly balanced, from the aromatherapy diffuser to the corner bookshelf labeled, Healing with Hope. At 30 years old, she was at the top of her class from Tokyo Medical and a respected researcher in quirk-induced neurodivergence. Her walls were adorned with framed certifications, her voice soothing, and her motto elegantly displayed, every mind is a garden. I am merely here to help it grow. 10 minutes into meeting Izumi Midoriya, Dr. Hanamiya contemplated a drastic change of scenery. Session start, 9 a.m. Izumi burst into the office, dressed in a purple tutu over camo pants, her favorite mismatched high-top sneakers, and a superhero cape made from an old pillowcase. She carried 3 pencil sharpeners, a kazoo, and a bag of M&Ms she claimed were, for emotional emergencies. Hello. Are you the brain lady? She yelled. Shizuka blinked. I'm Dr. Hanamiya. You must be Dash, I am Izumi the Magnificent, she announced, pirouetting on one foot. I have arrived to fix your sadness and possibly your Wi-Fi. Inko, Izumi's mother, bowed deeply, nearly losing her balance. I'm so sorry, she had chocolate milk on the way here and Dash, no worries, Shizuka said with a strained smile. Why don't we all sit Dash? Izumi had already climbed onto her desk. Do you think time is real or just God's screensaver? The therapist blinked. I'm sorry, what? Also, is it true cats can see ghosts, and if so, is that why Machi keeps staring at the lamp like it owes him money? Inko looked like she was struggling to contain her embarrassment. Shizuka forced a chuckle. Izumi-chan, why don't we start with some drawing? That's a fun way to learn how you're feeling. Okay. Izumi screamed with delight, grabbing a crayon in each hand and drawing 5 pictures at once. One depicted a giant brain holding a sword, another a tree made of jelly, one that looked like a goat, one of Inko fighting a giant creature with a frying pan, and one that simply said, "Run," in large red letters. Here. This one's my emotional landscape, she beamed. Shizuka blinked at the page. This is a battle mech labeled, Therapy Gundam, firing missiles made of empathy at a black hole. Yeah, that's my anxiety. He's a little guy but he's working on himself. Session, 9:15 a.m. Alright, Izumi-chan, Shizuka said gently. Let's do a calming exercise. We're going to breathe in and out, Izumi nodded. She inhaled. Exhaled. Inhaled again. Then exclaimed, I just remembered that jellyfish exist and they have no brains and that makes me mad. Inko slapped her forehead. Izumi, she hissed. Dr. Hanamiya is trying to help you calm down. I am calm, Izumi said, flopping upside down over the therapy couch. This is my neutral position. Dr. Hanamiya looked at her clock. 12 minutes had passed. It felt like a year. Session, 9:30 a.m. Let's try the feeling chart, Shizuka said, already searching for alternative career options under her desk. Can you point to the face that shows how you feel today? Izumi stared at the chart with intense focus, then pointed to 4 faces simultaneously. I feel like a happy, sad, excited tornado that's also in love with science and afraid of spoons. Inko froze. Wait, afraid of dash. Spoons are just flat forks with secrets. Shizuka opened her desk drawer and removed every spoon she could find, as if defusing a bomb. Then, in a quiet voice, she asked, do you always feel like your brain is going fast? Izumi nodded solemnly. Like it's racing on a hamster wheel powered by ideas and maybe also bees. Do you ever feel like you can't turn it off? Nope. But I can redirect it. Shizuka leaned forward, eyes hopeful. Really? How? Izumi pulled out a massive red button from her backpack. It had wires and was blinking. Inko gasped. Izumi no, not the button dash, Izumi pressed it. A siren went off in the hallway. Confetti exploded from the ceiling vent. A robotic voice announced, party mode engaged. Someone outside screamed. Shizuka calmly pressed her emergency button under the desk. Session, 9:45 a.m. The janitor was cleaning glitter off a therapy horse. Shizuka sat on her therapy couch, her mascara slightly smudged, a cold cup of tea in her hand, and a distant look in her eyes. Inko bowed again. I'm so sorry, she has these episodes dash, no, it's fine, Shizuka said in a voice that was absolutely not fine. She looked at Izumi, who was currently trying to use paper clips to make a grappling hook. Izumi, she asked, do you ever feel like people don't understand you? Izumi stopped. She looked up, blinked. Then nodded slowly. Yeah, she whispered. They think I'm too much. But I'm not trying to be. I just am. All the time. And I don't know how to stop. Shizuka froze. And for a moment, there it was, the ache beneath the chaos. The exhaustion in those emerald eyes. The loneliness of being too fast for a slow world. She took a breath. Izumi, you are not too much. You're just a lot. And that's okay. You're not broken. You're just built differently. We'll help you learn how to drive that brain, not crash it. Izumi's face lit up. Like a tank. Shizuka laughed. Exactly like a tank. Session, 10 a.m. As they left, Inko thanked her again, clutching the new packet of sensory regulation worksheets. Shizuka smiled and waved, then slowly closed the door. She turned to her desk. Looked at the glitter mess in the carpet. Picked up the emergency party siren and tossed it in the trash. Then opened her laptop and typed into Google, how to move to Hokkaido anonymously. HPSC Therapy Observation Memo Subject, Midoriya, Izumi Session 1, Therapist, Dr. Shizuka Hanamiya Notes, Subject Exhibits. Rapid cycling attention, hyperlogic improvisation, emotionally charged metaphors, and full-spectrum sensory outbursts. Therapist experienced emotional exhaustion and brief existential crisis. Recovered after tea. Subject responded well to validation, structure, and the concept of being a brain tank. Recommendation, weekly therapy. Sensory regulation tools. Emotional grounding practices. Therapist hazard pay. Possibly snacks. Therapist comment, this child is either going to save the world or accidentally rewire it into a sentient toaster. Inko Midoriya had survived childbirth, sleep deprivation, a 3-year-old Izumi's attempts at building various contraptions, and a glitter-related incident that nearly caused chaos in the neighborhood. But nothing prepared her for introducing Izumi to the Bakugos. You sure about this, Inko? Mitsuki Bakugo asked, leaning against the front door of her well-kept home. Her white blonde hair was tied back in a loose braid, her piercings glinting under the sunlight. Your girl's a bit of a whirlwind, huh? Inko smiled tightly. She's passionate. Behind Mitsuki, a faint thud could be heard, followed by a muffled shout of defiance. Mitsuki rolled her eyes. Katsuki's also passionate. Inko handed her a peace offering, a small tin of lavender cookies. May the gods have mercy on us all. The Bakugo residence, 11 a.m. The front door creaked open. Izumi Midoriya stormed inside like a raccoon with a plan. She wore a sparkly bomber jacket covered in motivational patches, a tutu over cargo pants, and carried a hand-drawn map titled, Mission, Friendship Acquisition, Target, Bakugo. Hello. I'm Izumi and I brought Machi, she announced, holding up her support cat in a baby HRNSS strap to her chest. Machi blinked in sleepy resignation. Masaru Bakugo, kind and quiet, peeked from behind a newspaper and offered a weak welcome. Then, from the hallway, a voice boomed, who the hell are you and why is there a cat on your chest? Katsuki Bakugo, age 4, emerged like a mini kaiju of fury, sporting a shirt that read, bite me, and a scowl that could melt steel. He stopped short. There stood a tiny girl radiating energy like a solar flare, eyes wide, smile bright, arms open like an incoming hurricane of enthusiasm. Izumi gasped. Oh my god. Katsuki blinked. What? You're perfect, she said, her eyes sparkling. You have resting murder face, spiky hair, and you scream like an angry microwave. You're like if a porcupine had unresolved issues. He sputtered. What did you just dash? I'm adopting you, Izumi declared. Effective immediately. I don't want to be adopted too late, she said, already circling him with excitement. Do you like snacks? I brought emotional M&Ms. What's your favorite animal? I bet it's something fierce. Do you want to build something amazing? I have plans. Katsuki looked to his mother like a drowning man begging for rescue. Mitsuki sipped her coffee and offered no mercy. You're on your own, boom boy. 12 p.m., chaos tea time. Inko and Mitsuki sat in the kitchen, sipping tea and occasionally flinching as crashes echoed from the playroom. Izumi's never had a playdate before, Inko admitted. She doesn't play, she conquers, Mitsuki said, laughing. Poor Katsuki's an alpha type 2. This'll either end in chaos or lifelong bonding. Or both. In the next room, Katsuki was shouting, I'm not your sidekick. You're not. Izumi shouted back. You're my CO main character. I'm gonna blow you up. I will hug you through the flames. Masaru walked in with Machi now curled up in his lap. They've gone from arguing to designing something. Mitsuki raised an eyebrow. Together. Yeah. Oh God, they're collaborating. 1 p.m., mission, cooperation, sort of, alright, Izumi said, eyes gleaming. This is Operation Boom Cuddle. You make the noise, I provide the support cat and snacks. We will take on the world. Katsuki frowned. I don't know what that means. Good. That's step 1. He folded his arms. You're weird. Izumi beamed. Thanks. That wasn't a compliment. It was in my heart. Katsuki huffed, looking away. But his face was red, and when Izumi offered him a glittery sticker labeled, Certified Explosion Buddy, he didn't throw it away. He just quietly stuck it to his shirt. 2 p.m., the unholy alliance. Mitsuki peeked into the room expecting chaos. Instead, she found the kids working on something ambitious. I built the outer chassis, Katsuki said, smug. It's flame-resistant. I designed the interior with mood lighting. Izumi added, balancing blueprints on her head. We call it the friendship tank. Masaru whispered, should we be concerned? Inko took a picture. I'm sending this to her therapist. She'll cry. 2:30 p.m., friendship complete. As Inko gathered Izumi's things, Izumi turned to Katsuki with sincerity. From this day forth, we are emotionally bound by fate. Katsuki blinked. What? You're my best friend now. It's a legal contract. If anyone tries to bully you, I'll stand up for you. If you're sad, I'll let you hold Machi. If you need me, I'm here. You're stuck with me forever. He scowled. I don't need protection. Izumi grinned. I didn't say you needed me. I said you have me. Katsuki turned redder than a volcano. Don't say weird stuff like that. You'll get used to it, she chirped. We're bonding. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. With all the energy of a boy who realized resistance was futile, he muttered, fine. But I'm the boss. You're the co-boss, she corrected sweetly. TCH, but when she hugged him, a big, all-consuming hug, he didn't pull away. Not right away. Later that night Katsuki sat on his bed, still wearing the Explosion Buddy sticker. He picked at it, scowling. Mitsuki poked her head in. So, you survive. He growled. She's annoying. Yep. She talks like a crazy person. She does. She smells like sugar and chaos. She's 4. She said she'd take on the world. Mitsuki blinked. Oh. That one's new. Katsuki turned over and mumbled, she brought me snacks. Meanwhile Izumi lay in bed, wide-eyed, her head buzzing with excitement. Mama. Yes, sweetie. I made a new friend today. I know, baby. I think he's a little rough around the edges. Inko paused. What do you mean? He growls a lot. But I'm gonna help him. With hugs. And stickers. Inko kissed her forehead. Just don't overwhelm him. Izumi grinned sleepily. No promises. Location. Aldera Little Stars preschool time, 8 a.m. status, normal for now. Preschool was supposed to be a place for nap time, glitter macaroni crafts, and learning how to ask for help without shouting. It was not, traditionally, a battleground for territory, bonding, and psychological warfare via sticker distribution. But then again, most preschools didn't have Izumi Midoriya. The arrival Inko Midoriya stood outside Aldera Little Stars, clutching Izumi's glittery unicorn backpack like it was a prized possession. She's just very enthusiastic, she whispered to the preschool teacher with a hopeful smile. Miss Azome, the teacher, nodded like someone on the edge of a breakthrough or a meltdown. I read the intake forms multiple times. We have a protocol. Inko gave her a look that was part apology, part encouragement. God be with you. Then, from the car, Izumi emerged with Katsuki Bakugo trailing behind her like a reluctant companion. Come on, boom buddy, she cheered. It's our first day of shaping society through play-based learning. I'm not your buddy, he grumbled, his face flushed. And what does that even mean? It means we are here to make friends and assert dems with kindness. Also, they have finger paint. Miss Azome stepped forward, already trembling. Izumi gasped and pointed at her. You have glitter in your hair. You are blessed by the craft gods. Miss Azome blinked. It's lice treatment. Oh. 8:30 a.m., day 0. By the time the bell rang, Izumi had rearranged the art station into a battle fort. Tried to introduce Machi the cat to a confused class guinea pig. Declared nap time a capitalist scam. And stuck a motivational sticker to every teacher, desk, and child she could reach. Katsuki was already in a corner with a juice box, staring at the chaos like someone remembering a tough time. He sipped slowly, like someone who had seen too much. That's when she walked in. 8:45 a.m., target acquired Psycho Intelli, age 4, had been dropped off quietly by her parents. Her uniform was immaculately pressed. Her tea thermos was clutched like a lifeline. Her posture radiated a longing to be left alone. Her entire aura suggested she just wanted to read and leave quietly. She didn't know what hit her. Izumi spotted her like a hawk spotting prey. New person. Katsuki didn't even look up. Oh no. Izumi zeroed in. Hi. I'm Izumi. What's your name? Your hair is super pretty and your eyes look like they know everything. Are you secretly a god? Psycho flinched, holding her thermos like a shield. I am Psycho Intelli, that's so cool, Izumi exclaimed, inches from her face. Do you have a quirk? Psycho hesitated. Only if I drink tea. Izumi gasped. You are literally a magical girl. Katsuki finally looked over, sighed, and muttered, don't resist. There is no escape from an extrovert. Psycho stared at him. Then at Izumi. Then at the friendship bracelet being tied around her wrist. I didn't agree to this, you don't have to, Izumi said, sparkling with enthusiasm. You're part of the party now. 9:15 a.m., coordinated chaos. The teachers tried. Oh, they tried. But they were outmatched. Izumi was leading the class in a reenactment of the hero's journey with finger puppets. Katsuki had started helping because she kept messing up the explosion scenes. Psycho, now sitting beside them sipping oolong tea, was taking notes on everything with a serious expression like a strategist studying unpredictable superweapons. I've calculated a 92% chance this ends in property damage, Psycho muttered. Only 92%. Katsuki asked, smirking. She's pacing herself. 10 a.m., teacher's lounge emergency. Miss Azome sat at the break room table, shaking slightly. She built a full-scale siege engine out of popsicle sticks. The assistant teacher, Mr. Nara, looked pale. I found one of them giving an inspirational speech to the toy bin. They weaponized stickers. I have one on my back that says, you can't spell legendary without me. The janitor, who had survived 30 years in the district, lit a cigarette without even leaving the building. You don't understand. She made Bakugo smile. There was silence. That's impossible, Mr. Nara whispered. I saw it with my own eyes. 11:30 a.m., the triumvirate forms. It was during juice box break that the final transformation took place. Izumi leaned back, juice mustache across her face. This is the best day ever. Psycho sipped from her thermos. I haven't cried once. This is new. Katsuki, sitting between them, narrowed his eyes. If either of you hug me, I'll bite. Izumi smiled. That's how I know you care. Psycho added, you've allowed physical proximity for 20 minutes. By introvert standards, this is intimacy. Katsuki made a face. Gross. They all laughed. The teachers watched in a mixture of awe and concern. A new alliance had been born. Noon, a miracle, nothing had caught on fire. No one had gone to the nurse. The guinea pig was only slightly traumatized. It was, by every metric, a miracle. Miss Azome walked the three to the front of the school, hands trembling only a little. Well, she said. It was lively. Izumi beamed. We're coming back tomorrow, right? Why yes. Saiko raised a hand. I made a list of improvements for the class schedule. Katsuki just gave the teacher a look of pure empathy. Good luck. You'll need it. Later that night Mitsuki called Inko. So. How'd it go? Inko groaned. She adopted someone new. Mitsuki laughed. Katsuki said she found a T-gremlin and forged an unholy alliance of chaos. She made a siege engine, Mitsuki. Out of craft sticks. Who does that? Your daughter. Inko sighed. She's gonna rule the world, isn't she? If it survives her childhood. Probably. Location, Aldera Little Stars Preschool Time, Tuesday morning, 9:12 a.m. Age, Izumi Midoriya, 5 years old. Event, fire alarm test, or so they thought. It started like any normal day. The sun was soft through the classroom windows, casting golden squares on the floor like warm spotlights. Izumi had arrived with 2 braids, glittery sneakers, and a backpack filled with stickers, crayons, and Machi the cat, her emotional support animal, riding in a ventilated satchel on her chest like a fuzzy knight. Today's the day we present our glitter cannon peace diplomacy device, she announced proudly, presenting her spaghetti-an cardboard creation with actual confetti launchers. Miss Azome had already resigned herself to sweeping confetti out of the vents again. Katsuki was halfway through a juice box. Saiko was reading The Economic History of Tea Cultivation with a focused expression. Then, it happened. 9:12 a.m., the sound that shattered the fire alarm went off. A blaring, sharp sound echoed through the classroom. Red lights flashed on every wall, harsh and erratic, pulsing like a heartbeat. Everyone line up, Miss Azome began, her practiced teacher voice kicking in. Then she heard a sound that froze her blood. It wasn't screaming. It was silence. Izumi the bubbly, bouncing, sticker-wielding chaos muppet was on her knees, frozen mid-motion, eyes wide, breathing shallow. Machi had clawed his way out of her satchel and was pressing against her chest, yowling, tail puffed. Katsuki was at her side immediately. "Izu. Hey, look at me." Izumi wasn't responding. Her hands were trembling, clutching her arms. Her mouth moved like she was trying to say something but couldn't. The alarm kept blaring. The lights kept flashing. Then she collapsed. Katsuki stood protectively between the lights and Izumi, visibly shaken but determined. Miss Azome called out for help. 9:20 a.m., emergency response. The lights were turned off, and the alarm ceased. A blanket was draped over Izumi to shield her from the remaining glare. One of the teachers gently placed noise-canceling headphones over her ears. Izumi had stopped shaking, now curled up and softly sobbing, her eyes unfocused. She whispered something, prompting Miss Azome to lean closer. "Did I ruin the art project?" Her voice was faint and trembling. Miss Azome felt a pang in her heart. "No, sweetie. You didn't ruin anything," she reassured her, tears welling in her eyes. Katsuki crouched beside her, holding one of Izumi's hands tightly. "You scared me, nerd," he whispered. "Please don't do that again." Machi meowed softly, liking Izumi's cheek. Izumi let out a broken giggle that turned into another quiet cry. 9:45 a.m., nurse's office. The preschool nurse, a retired emergency medic, was on the phone with Inko, providing updates. She's stable now, he assured. Her vitals are okay. The seizure passed quickly. We're doing a basic check, but she will need a specialist. Inko's voice trembled with fear on the other end. I'm on my way. Please keep her calm. She's never had one before. 10:05 a.m., the fallout Miss Izumi sat beside Izumi on the cot, wrapping her in a weighted blanket with Machi nestled against her chest, her breathing finally steady. Izumi looked up at her teacher, tears on her cheeks. I didn't mean to scare anyone. You didn't, love, Izumi replied gently. You didn't do anything wrong. It was just so loud and bright, and I tried to stay calm. Machi helped. He really tried. I know. You did amazing. A moment of silence passed. Miss Izumi? Izumi asked. Yes. Am I broken? The question struck Miss Izumi deeply. She reached out, brushing Izumi's hair back. Sweetheart, you are the bravest little goblin I have ever met. I'm a goblin. A magnificent, chaos-fueled genius goblin. Not broken, just a little more complicated than most. Izumi sniffled. Okay. 10:15 a.m., Miss Izumi's breakdown when Inko arrived and held Izumi close, whispering soothing words into her hair. Miss Izumi stepped into the hallway, leaning against the wall. She slid down to the floor and let her tears flow. She felt she had failed. She hadn't known about Izumi's condition. There were no warnings in the files, no notes from the specialist. As a teacher, it was her responsibility to protect her students, and she hadn't been aware. The aftermath: within 24 hours, new protocols were established. Izumi's file was updated with medical flags: ADHD, stage 4, seizure risk, photosensitive, tactile sensitivity, and panic triggers. All fire drills would require 72-hour notice unless it was a real emergency. Izumi was moved to a private sensory-friendly recovery space near the nurse's office. Machi was officially recognized as a certified emotional support animal by the school district. Later that night, at home, Izumi sat in a blanket fort on the couch, holding Machi like a plush toy. Inko brought her tea in a glittery mug labeled CEO of Kindness. Do I have to quit preschool? Izumi asked. Inko sat beside her and kissed her temple. Not a chance. They just need to catch up to how unique you are. Izumi blinked at her. Is that your nice way of saying I broke a teacher? Inko chuckled. She's fine. Traumatized, but fine. They shared a laugh together. And somewhere else. Miss Izumi sat at her desk long after hours, jotting down notes and reminders. Next to her coffee mug was a sticky note adorned with a glitter sticker. It read, "Thank you for being my calm when I can't find mine." In a 5-year-old's handwriting. She felt tears welling up again. Then she began planning a classroom remodel with dimmable lights, soundproof corners, and a sign that read, "Welcome to the Goblin's Lair, chaos managed here." Location, Musudafu Pediatric Quirk and Neurological Center. Time, Thursday morning, 8:47 a.m. Age, Izumi Midoriya, 5 years old. Event, full neurological and quirk-centered medical evaluation. It had been 36 hours since the seizure. Izumi had bounced back emotionally faster than anyone expected, already redesigning her glitter cannon to include a sound-dampening field just in case of another fire goblin ambush. But Inko had not slept. She kept a watchful eye on her daughter, worried she might shatter again. For a few terrifying moments, she had. Now they were walking into the Musudafu Pediatric Quirk and Neurological Center, a hospital known for its specialized wing for neurodivergent quirk-affected children, affectionately called the Spaghetti Brain Lab. Izumi had immediately dubbed it Science Hogwarts. The welcome Dr. Reika Tenmyuji was already waiting for them. She was a tall woman in her mid-40s with streaks of silver in her jet-black hair and warm, intelligent eyes. Her lab coat had paint splotches on the cuffs, and her office walls were decorated with colorful drawings from patients, many clearly done with too much glitter. Her name tag read, Dr. Reika, Chaos Wrangler, Tenmyuji, Pediatric Neuroquirk Specialist ADHD and Epilepsy Division will bribe with coffee. She smiled as Izumi bounced into the room. You must be Izumi. I've heard a lot about you. Did you hear about the glitter cannon? It wasn't my fault it went off in the hallway. The button looked sad, and I had to push it. Dr. Reika laughed softly. I see we're starting with radical honesty. Inko sighed, a mix of exasperation and affection. The tests begin. Test 1, EEG, electroencephalogram. Izumi sat patiently wiggled patiently while the nurse placed soft, cold electrodes on her scalp. Do I look like a jellyfish yet? She asked. No, but you do look like a sci-fi princess, Dr. Reika replied. The EEG revealed hyperactivity in her frontal cortex, a constant stream of beta wave surges, and reactive spikes in response to visual and auditory stimuli, confirming the presence of photosensitive epilepsy, sensory processing disorder, and a neurological condition that strongly resembled stage 4 ADHD, all enhanced by her quirk. Test 2, Quirk Evaluation MRI. Using a special machine designed for mutated neurological quirks, they mapped the structure of Izumi's brain. What they discovered left Dr. Reika in awe. Izumi's prefrontal cortex was overdeveloped, resembling a turbocharged version, wrapping around areas of her brain that exhibited explosive cognitive activity far beyond typical human norms. Her corpus callosum, which connects both hemispheres, was nearly double the average density, allowing ideas to bounce between sides of her brain at lightning speed. There was an imbalance. Neural firing was chaotic, like fireworks being set off in different directions simultaneously. Her default mode network, responsible for daydreaming and internal thoughts, was always active, even when it shouldn't be. This is, Dr. Reika murmured. She's not just a genius. She's like a brain with no brakes. In the private consultation room, Dr. Reika placed a thick folder on the desk and looked at Inko, gently but seriously. We've confirmed it, she said. Izumi has the second most severe case of ADHD ever recorded in quirk-related medicine. Her intelligence quirk, which we've named cognizance bloom, is the root cause. Inko paled. What does that mean? Dr. Reika flipped open the chart. Quirk profile, HPSC certified, quirk name, cognizance bloom, classification, mutant type neurological enhancement, function, grants the user unparalleled intellectual capacity, near-infinite data absorption, and intuitive pattern recognition. Cognitive processing speeds clocked at 180x normal human rates. IQ, simulated estimate 750+, instability index, CQI rating 410, side effects, severe quirk-induced ADHD, stage 4, hyperactive chaotic subtype, photosensitive epilepsy, triggered by flashing lights greater than or equal to 10 seconds, sensory processing overload, touch, sound, visual, emotional dysregulation, sleep CYCL fragmentation, average REM sleep, 2 hours night, romantic perception impairment, clinically documented romance blindness, unless directly informed, Dr. Reika continued. Izumi's brain is like the internet trying to run on a microwave. She processes things faster than most people can think. But the downside is, she has no natural cognitive filters. Every light, sound, texture, smell, and emotion hits her all at once. Inko's face was stricken. She's been dealing with this the whole time. Yes. And compensating brilliantly. Her cat, Machi, acts as a natural grounding anchor, the only thing that holds her attention without triggering hyperfixation or burnout. Psychological addendum, Class A Quirk Sensitivity File, Subject, Izumi Midoriya, Status, Class A Watch List, High-Risk Quirk Instability, Cognitive Branch, Psychological Notes, exhibits profound empathy, excessive kindness, and hypersocial extroversion despite overwhelming internal chaos. Demonstrates a behavioral signature that elicits emotional lift in others regardless of stress levels. Appears unaware of romantic cues entirely, describing affection as, that feeling when you want to give someone the biggest sticker. Gullibility is high, can be easily manipulated with correctly worded emotional triggers. Suggested action, Do not allow exposure to extended visual strobing under any circumstances. Avoid sudden loud noises. Subject may panic. Tactile sensitivity is extreme. Predictable pressure calms, unexpected touch causes discomfort. Keep ESA, MACHI, present during any assessment or DSPLN. Note, subject is not a threat. Subject is a gift. Handle with compassion. Medical summary, top 5 facts about Izumi Midoriya. Flashing light sensitivity, exposure to flashing lights induces seizures. Auditory sensitivity, sudden sounds may trigger panic attacks or dissociation. Tactile sensory disorder, her skin is hypersensitive to touch. Sleep disorder, rarely enters full REM cycles, often sleeping in short bursts. Romantic blindness, cannot perceive romantic attention unless directly informed. Back in the car, Izumi was curled up in the back seat, hugging Machi and talking about whether snails have anxiety. Inko looked at the paperwork in her lap, then at her daughter in the mirror. How could something so brilliant also be so fragile? But then Izumi looked up at her with a big grin, dimpled and full of sunshine. Mom. Yes, baby. I'm not broken, right? Inko smiled through tears. No, my love. You're not broken. You're just the entire rainbow in a thunderstorm. Izumi paused. Can I be a thunder goblin? Yes. Yay. Location, Hero Public Safety Commission Headquarters, Tokyo Department, Quirk Oversight and Development, Pediatric Division. Subject, IEP and Accommodations Request, Midoriya, Izumi. Security Classification, Quirk Sensitivity Class A, Neurodevelopmental 7:12 a.m., Internal Memo, HPSC Pediatric Oversight Branch 2, all relevant department leads from HPSC Child Quirk Accommodations Committee, Dr. Yumiko Katsu. Subject, Urgent, Quirk Accommodations Review, Midoriya, Izumi, age 5. Please review the attached NeuroQuirk evaluation packet. We are dealing with a child whose mind is twice as fast as Nizu's and whose body reacts to the world like it's one constant challenge. The request includes, IEP, Individualized Education Plan, approval for NeuroQuirk instability, medical accommodation protocol under emergency sensory threshold, emotional support animal registration for Machi the cat, classroom remodeling to prevent overstimulation, a glitter-free zone declaration around all art supplies. We may also need a new category on the CQI, serotonin-based public safety hazard. 7:36 a.m., Dr. Akari Takashima's office. Dr. Takashima stared at the file on her desk, which was pink and covered in star stickers. On the front was a child's drawing with the caption, I'm not chaos. I'm just excited really hard. Izumi Greenheart. She flipped it open and reviewed the contents, noting the various evaluations and feedback. Dr. Takashima leaned back in her chair. I need coffee. 9:03 a.m., emergency HPSC pediatric meeting. 6 department heads sat in a room discussing a girl who made adults cry with how cute she was. Dr. Takashima began, You've read the file. Questions. Agent Rinko asked, Is she actually the second most severe ADHD case on record? Dr. Yumiko confirmed, yes. The first was a child who kept trying to rewrite reality with crayons. Izumi is stable, if you define stable as constantly talking while climbing on walls. Agent Kuda inquired, and she's sweet. Dr. Takashima noted that the child's presence alone had a remarkable effect on the waiting room, boosting morale and even prompting the vending machine to dispense free snacks. The atmosphere lightened significantly, with a cat purring softly and a baby in the building ceasing its cries. Agent Kurwa raised an eyebrow, questioning if the child was a public menace. Dr. Yumiko replied that the child was a source of joy, albeit one who panicked at loud noises and had a strong reaction to flashing lights. Despite her quirks, she had managed to create an impressive hydraulic glitter launcher with limited resources, which certainly added to her charm. Child Quirk Instability Index, CQI. Subject, Midoriya, Izumi age, 5 Quirk, Cognizance Bloom Intelligence Amplification, 1800% emotional stability, high empathy, extremely reactive romantic perception, clinically null threat rating, 0, unless given coffee, risk index, 1, environmental chaos only, sweetness index, 1010, warning. Prolonged exposure may cause emotional cavities. The vote was unanimous. Izumi's Individualized Education Plan, IEP, and accommodations were approved under specific protocols, previously applicable to only a few children who now worked in advanced hero think tanks. Her accommodations included a sensory-safe classroom with noise-dampening walls, soft LED lights, and neutral colors. A permanent emotional support animal, ESA, license for Machi, recognized as a Level 1 Quirk grounding cat. 2 personal aides to assist her, with rotation to prevent burnout. A designated STMLTN cooldown zone, equipped with weighted blankets, poppets, and cat videos. An exemption from romantic awareness in any future relationship-based education, with all cues needing to be clearly explained or illustrated. As Dr. Takashima concluded the report, she added a personal note: Midoriya, Izumi is not a threat or a problem. She is a unique blend of genius and joy, whose only challenge is feeling deeply and quickly. Her laughter brings smiles to even the most weary. Later that afternoon, back at preschool, Izumi excitedly tried to persuade Katsuki to help her transform the sandbox into a kinetic trap maze, complete with her detailed blueprint. Saiko observed with a knowing expression, aware that resistance was futile. Katsuki sighed, muttering to himself about the challenges of dealing with such an energetic personality. Date, April 3. Location, Shizuoka Little Lanterns Preschool, Sensory Safe Room. A subject, Midoriya, Izumi, age 5, status, first day under new accommodations. Note, emotional support cat, Machi, present and on duty. The newly renovated sensory safe classroom was a testament to educational innovation. The walls were adorned with calming colors, and the lighting was soft and warm, filtered through panels designed to minimize noise. The floor was covered with soft mats, and the desks had rounded edges for safety. Each corner of the room featured unique zones, the Tinker Spot with safe building tools and puzzles. The Zen Cave, equipped with a beanbag and a white noise machine. The Visual Garden, filled with calming visuals and slow-moving lights. At the center of the room was a special cushion for Izumi and her companion, Machi, who lounged comfortably. The door swung open, and Izumi entered with boundless energy, exclaiming her delight at the new environment. She rushed around the room, exploring every corner and enthusiastically sharing her thoughts on lavender and its calming effects. Machi followed at a steady pace, knowing his role was to help Izumi focus. Izumi's excitement was infectious as she flopped into the Zen Cave and then darted to the Tinker Spot to build a new creation. Her chatter was non-stop, filled with facts and imaginative ideas. Miss Azome observed with a smile, noting Izumi's high energy and creativity. As Miss Azome checked on the Visual Garden, she caught a glimpse of Izumi sitting cross-legged with Machi, adjusting the cat's miniature goggles. Izumi looked like a character from an animated series, embodying the spirit of creativity and joy. Without thinking, Miss Azome took a picture, capturing the moment. Izumi looked up, flashing a bright smile and exclaiming, "Cheese storm." The photo was soon uploaded to the school's website, showcasing the joy of the first day in the sensory-safe classroom. It quickly caught the attention of parents and educators alike, spreading across social media platforms and gaining popularity. Izumi became an unexpected internet sensation, with fan art and supportive comments flooding in from all corners of the web. An internal memo was issued to monitor Izumi for potential media exposure, emphasizing the need to protect her from the overwhelming attention and to prevent any attempts to commercialize her emotional support cat, Machi. The day continued with excitement and joy, marking the beginning of a new chapter for Izumi and her classmates. Izumi had no idea she'd become famous online. She was currently building a sensory-friendly marble maze with glitter-free components, humming a song she made up on the spot about atomic bonds being clingy little besties. Machi sat beside her, munching on a freeze-dried salmon treat, while Saiko watched from the Zen Cave, sipping her tea and murmuring like a retired soldier that there was no escape from the extrovert. Katsuki was in the corner drawing stick figures and quietly coming to terms with his fate. Izumi may have been a whirlwind of joy and stimulus, but she was not a problem to solve, she was a wonder to behold. Today, she made science fun, art safe, and kindness kinetic. She might not realize it yet, but she was going to change the world, one burst of joy at a time. By now, the staff had a system in place for the Midoriya protocol. Upon arrival, Izumi would be gently handed her weighted plush, given her noise-canceling cat-eared headphones, hot pink, of course, and then gently redirected from climbing the school's decorative ivy wall. Izumi, the roof is not a lunch spot. It could be a lunch spot if we dream hard enough. Machi, now a grumpy but loyal cat senior, was nestled in her backpack, head poking out through a custom HRNSS. Lunch was chaos as usual, kids chatting, trading snacks, and Izumi giving serious commentary to her rice ball shaped like a mitochondrion. It began innocently enough when Psycho asked if Izumi had ever thought about the evolutionary logic behind quirk development. Izumi, mid-bite of her omelette roll, froze. Her pupils dilated, and her brain, already running at full speed, threw itself into TED Talk mode. She stood up on her chair, and Machi meowed once, which everyone had learned was cat code for, "Oh no." "Okay, so." Izumi shouted, her voice carrying over the din. Instantly, every other child went quiet. They didn't understand it, but they felt it. Holding up her bento box like a projector slide, she began her lecture. First of all, how do 80% of humans suddenly evolve a superpower gene in 100 years? That's not even remotely possible unless every single human on Earth simultaneously got visited by a quirk fairy with a penchant for chaos. She picked up her soy sauce fish bottle, now repurposed as a genetic model. And don't get me started on the whole quirk factor nonsense. You're telling me there's this invisible biological mechanism that changes your cells magically and can somehow store fire or generate explosions? Absolute pseudoscientific nonsense. A first-year cried. Katsuki nodded solemnly, sipping his juice like he was watching a TEDx disaster unfold. Izumi continued, flinging a napkin to the floor for emphasis. Where does the energy come from? Do quirk users have extra energy reserves? No. Then why does nobody burn out after generating lightning or ice for 5 straight minutes? This breaks at least 3 laws of thermodynamics. She pointed at a doodle on her lunchbox. Explain to me how giving BRTH to a baby with a full-grown prehensile tail doesn't cause maternal spinal dislocation. She held up a chart she made on her napkin with color-coded boxes. My classmate's mom is a plant lady. Her dad can turn into smoke. Their son can manipulate concrete. What kind of Punnett square is that? At this point, Izumi was pacing on the lunch table. Psycho was taking notes, and 3 kids had minor existential crises. Machi leapt onto the table and headbutted her shin, which was the signal for her to sit back down. Teachers found several students lying on the grass outside, whispering that nothing made sense. Psycho had brewed emergency tea in her thermos. Katsuki stared at the clouds. Miss Azome, now experienced enough to remain calm in the face of Izumi's enthusiasm, simply noted the event as an unscheduled but effective lecture on quirk criticism. Later that evening, Inko asked Izumi if she did anything exciting at school. Izumi, now in her duck pajamas, hugged Machi and grinned. Not much. Just discussed biology over rice and dismantled society's understanding of quirks. Oh. I made a sculpture of mitochondria using mashed potatoes. Inko blinked, unsure of how to respond, while Machi stared at the wall. In history class the next day, Miss Tano had a plan to cover World War II. She glanced toward the corner of the classroom, where Izumi was coloring a neuron diagram into the margins of her notes. Now, Class Japan's decision to attack Pearl Harbor is often remembered as a bold strategic strike, Miss Tano began. Izumi raised her hand, her chair screeching back. Permission to disagree strongly and with extreme prejudice, Miss Tano. Go ahead. The moment the words left her mouth, Miss Tano realized she'd opened a floodgate. Izumi climbed atop her desk like a tiny general preparing to share her thoughts with fervor. They played themselves, she declared, capturing everyone's attention. Japan's high command made strategic mistakes in the Pacific Theater, and I'll tell you why. Izumi launched into a detailed breakdown, as if she had access to classified naval documents. Japan attacking Hawaii was like poking a hibernating bear. They didn't even bother to hit the fuel reserves or the actual aircraft carriers, they just bombed battleships that would have been obsolete soon. That's like trying to take out a fighter jet by punching its tires. Psycho Intelli was already scribbling notes, while Katsuki looked ready to question everything he thought he knew. Do you know how close they were to winning the China conflict? They almost had the resources. But they didn't finish securing the oil fields first. Instead, they provoked the U.S. Navy before they had the logistics to hold the Pacific. She gestured emphatically, emphasizing her point. Strategic resource prioritization, people. They also built super battleships instead of focusing on carrier doctrine. What were they thinking? The age of battleships was already over. Every carrier lost was an irreversible setback, and they had no planes to spare. She stomped her tiny foot. You can't plan a war against an industrial powerhouse when your factories can't even produce parts without imported materials. They had poor code-breaking security, underestimated Allied industrial capacity, and overestimated their ability to force a negotiated peace. This was a multi-layered misunderstanding. At that moment, a soft meow from Machi signaled that Izumi needed a break. Blinking, she sat back down and picked up her chocolate milk. I want a cookie, she said, cheeks puffed adorably. I ranted too hard. Miss Tano was gripping her desk, astonished by the level of insight she had just witnessed from a student. Class, she said faintly, let's take a quiet moment to reflect. Katsuki whispered to Psycho, don't make eye contact. She smells fear. Psycho, looking impressed yet pale, replied, I think she might be a war god in disguise. Later, an email was sent to the HPSC. Subject, Midoriya, Izumi, unscheduled strategic military breakdown summary. Student delivered a spontaneous, emotionally charged historical critique of Imperial Japan's Pacific strategy. Demonstrated extensive knowledge of naval warfare, resource logistics, and international diplomacy. Collateral, 3 students were visibly moved. One expressed interest in joining the Navy. Another wrote, I want to be a general like Izumi, on the walls. Requested action. Please classify this child's intellect as a significant resource. Consider providing support for staff. Personal note, I am requesting someone to provide this child with cookies or hugs. That evening, at the Midoriya household, Inko asked, did you do anything fun at school today, sweetie? Izumi, now curled up on the couch, nodded cheerfully. Yep. I explained how Japan mishandled the Pacific War like it was a slippery fish. Inko blinked. Would you like cookies? Yes please. Operation Hero Brainwash, also known as Tuesday, began in Psycho Intelli's living room. Izumi had somehow ended up at Psycho's apartment again, bursting in with a 3D, printed neuron model and juice boxes. Sigh. I figured out how to fix traffic. That's a terrifying sentence, Psycho replied. Also I brought mango juice. Katsuki sat on the couch, looking like a weary veteran watching the chaos unfold. The plan was set in motion. Psycho, having activated her quirk, turned her sharp gaze to Katsuki. It's time. Bakugos snorted. You sure? Izumi trusts us. That makes her open to ideas. You say that like it's a good thing. It is if you're trying to guide her toward a positive path. He grunted in agreement. Psycho sweetly asked Izumi about her college aspirations. Izumi, bouncing on a yoga ball, exclaimed, I want to go to all of them. I want to eat knowledge like spaghetti. Psycho winced, while Katsuki deadpanned, what does that even mean? I want to drink textbooks. Psycho continued smoothly, if you go to the College Heroics program, you get access to classified data, tech no one else can use, and real-time simulations. Izumi's eyes sparkled with excitement. Like Battlefield AI. Yes. Izumi gasped, spinning on the yoga ball. They have the stuff that goes pew-pew. Katsuki muttered, that's not even a sentence. Psycho encouraged Izumi, think about it, you love helping people. You're really sweet, right? So why not be a hero? Izumi tilted her head, contemplating. But I'm not always good at plans. I get distracted, and I accidentally created a bread golem last week. You reprogrammed your toaster into a food printer using a paperclip and a Raspberry Pi. He's sentient now. His name is Crumbly. Psycho pinched the bridge of her nose. Katsuki leaned in, you like doing the right thing, right? Izumi nodded vigorously. And you like people, even if they're annoying. Yep. Then be a hero already. You're smart, you love helping folks, and you'd be unstoppable. Psycho could be your operator. Psycho perked up. I could. Katsuki added, I'd be your partner. We'd be a team. Izumi paused, her mind beginning to form a vision of the possibilities. Hero Izumi, dressed in a lab coat, expertly handled test tubes while Psycho managed operations from a command center, sipping tea and controlling a satellite. Katsuki was busy battling a villain's robot, shouting heroic slogans. Machi, the emotional support cat, floated in wearing a cape. Izumi declared, I would be Science Hero Girl Supernova. 5 p.m. Mission accomplished. Psycho shared a victorious look with Katsuki. She's on the hook. Katsuki grunted, what do we do now? Make sure she doesn't accidentally invent a quantum destabilizer. They turned to Izumi, who was already attempting to transform her cat's carrier into a mobile research lab. File update, HPSC office subject, Midoriya, Izumi event, decision to pursue you, A, heroics path date, logged September 12 alert level, yellow, elevated risk of world-breaking scientific hero notes. Izumi has been encouraged toward the hero course by trusted peers, Bakugos Katsuki and Intelli Psycho. Her motivation stems from a longing to help people with cool tech and get to touch restricted machines. Recommended action, begin early psychological hero course conditioning and safety checks for lab environments. The emotional support cat remains vital. Final scene, that night Inko was folding laundry when her daughter burst through the door with boundless energy. Mama. I want to be a hero scientist. Inko blinked, recalling Izumi's recent experiments. Sweetie, you already dissected your toaster this week. I want to dissect evil toasters. I'll call the school in the morning. Burnout. For most, burnout meant stress or exhaustion. For Izumi Midoriya, it meant 8 hours of intense work, countless notes, and a partially constructed anti-gravity prototype made from duct tape and sheer determination. Now, it meant she had collapsed onto Psycho's couch, exhausted and calling for Machi like a tired princess. Sei kachu I'm tired, Psycho set her tea down. I believe we've entered a code pink. Katsuki looked confused. What's that? Post-burnout Izumi, type 1 attachment spiral. Katsuki squinted. In plain English. She's about to become emotionally attached. Phase 1, the clinging Izumi rolled off the couch and crawled toward Psycho, latching onto her like a koala. Psycho froze. I can't feel my ribs. You're warm and smart, you're my friend, I love you, Izumi murmured, snuggling into Psycho's side. Katsuki, watching with a mix of awe and concern, backed away slowly. Izumi's ears perked up, and she turned her gaze to him. Kaken you too? Katsuki raised a hand as if to ward off a wild animal. No. Stay. Back. Izumi let go of Psycho and launched herself at Katsuki. Whump. She landed against him, her big green eyes pleading. Cuddles, nope. Nope, no, stop, I'm tired, you're warm, Izumi, get off, damn it. He was pinned. Psycho observed, sipping her tea. She's stronger than she looks in burnout mode. Katsuki grimaced. It's like being hugged by a very needy friend. Phase 2, the cuddle spiral for the next 37 minutes, neither of them escaped. Izumi snuggled, mumbled affection, and purred. I love you guys, you make my brain go soft in a good way, Katsuki's eye twitched. I can't feel my dignity. She's rewiring my brain, Psycho remarked. Izumi, her cheeks pressed against Katsuki's shoulder, poked Psycho. You're like if spreadsheets were cuddly, Psycho blinked, surprised. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Medical note, Psycho's personal log subject, Midoriya, Izumi condition, post-burnout clingstorm duration, approximately 90-minute symptoms, intense cuddling, verbal affection loops, 0 physical boundaries, emotional vulnerability at 200% conclusion. It would be interesting to see how she handles this in the future. Recovery phase eventually, Izumi settled down. Curling between them like a purring mass of warmth. Katsuki sighed, too tired to resist. She's gonna be a hero, huh? Psycho nodded, brushing Izumi's hair from her face. Yes. But it'll be interesting to see how she manages this in public. Someone's gonna try to stop her. And end up cuddling her on live television. I'm going to request hazard pay. Meanwhile, Machi the cat sat atop the windowsill, observing the scene with a flick of his tail, silently judging them all. HPSC monitoring report subject, Midoriya, Izumi incident, code pink, burnout cuddling location, civilian apartment emotional fallout, 2 participants, 3 hours lost to unexpected cuddles, 1 philosophical crisis recommended action, install recovery protocols in sensory classroom, train key friends in emergency detachment procedures. Avoid burnout mode during public events. Final scene. When Inko arrived to pick up Izumi, she found her daughter curled up between a sleepy Katsuki and a dazed Psycho, all wrapped in blankets and fairy lights. Inko smiled, took a picture, and thought, this one's going in the scrapbook. Izumi stood up dramatically, holding a heating pad like a sacred artifact. I am bleeding for a week straight without dying. Am I okay? Sir, I am a miracle. 10:40 a.m., health class. The cataclysm on a typical day, health class would consist of a quiet video, a few embarrassed questions, and some awkward giggles. But today was different. The teacher decided to tackle the topic of reproduction, MNSTRTN, and human sexuality. Alright, class. Today we're discussing reproduction, MNSTRTN, and human sexuality. Everyone froze, except for Izumi, who sat up straight, feeling the effects of her situation. You mean to tell me that the reason I'm in pain right now is because my body thinks I might be making a baby? Yes, the teacher replied. Sir, I am 12. I still eat glue if it's glittery. I am not qualified for baby creation. The class erupted in laughter, and one student fainted from secondhand embarrassment. 10:43 a.m., descent into chaos. Izumi stood up again. Katsuki muttered, oh no. Psycho whispered, brace for impact. Let me get this straight, Izumi ranted. Once a month my body prepares an egg for SPRM that may or may not show up, like a horrible biological RSVP system. The teacher blinked, trying to respond. And if no SPRM arrives, my uterus throws a temper tantrum. The health teacher attempted to speak, but Izumi continued her passionate tirade. And don't get me started on PRGNNCY. You mean it's 10 months of nausea, pain, swelling, and then you have to give BRTH. Katsuki turned to Psycho. This is why we don't let her do public speaking during Herm storms. Noted, Psycho replied. 10:50 a.m., maximum overcramp. Eventually, Izumi sat down, wrapped in her hoodie, clutching chocolate that someone had offered her, heating pad on her abdomen, muttering, curse the egg, like a dark priestess. The teacher stood in stunned silence. One brave classmate asked, "Are you okay, Midoriya?" "No. I want to eat a mountain of chocolate, cry over a squirrel, punch the sun, and cuddle someone who smells like lemon shampoo." Katsuki silently handed her a bar of dark chocolate. Saiko dropped a plushie into her lap. Machi appeared out of nowhere and curled up against her. Peace was restored, somewhat. 12 p.m. HPSC notes, redacted, subject, Midoriya, Izumi incident report, health class hurricane, notable quotes, curse the egg. The uterus is a vindictive fruit roll-up. Why would I want to make a baby? I still think shadows are ghosts. Psych evaluation update, emotional resilience, exceptional hormonal chaos response, nuclear recommendation, do not assign public speaking during Ovaltine or MNSTRTN. Current status, wrapped in blankets, eating chocolate, contemplating life. 2:30 p.m. After school Izumi, now mostly comatose and high on chocolate, lay flopped across the couch at Saiko's place. "Guys, if I ever have to do this again, you will." "Every month," Saiko said calmly. Izumi groaned. "Cancel womanhood. Unsubscribe." Katsuki flopped beside her with a snort. "You survived." "Barely. I'm gonna invent a uterine off SWCH, she mumbled. "Call it the ovary obliterator." Title, Project Snuggletummy filed under, Midoriya, Izumi Invention's Accidental Health Hazards Mild Legal Panic Location, UA Pre-Academy Think Lab Time, Afternoon, Post-PRD Recovery Phase, 3 p.m. The spark of genius Izumi had recovered from her emotional meltdown with newfound creative energy. Wrapped in a cocoon of soft blankets and snuggling a hot water bottle, she sat at her personal inventor's bench, muttering with the intensity of a determined inventor. Okay. So. Problem, uterus pain. Solution, vibrational distraction therapy using sonic frequencies, localized compression, temperature modulation, and serotonin triggers. Translation, she was going to invent something to hug her stomach and make it stop hurting. I shall call it Project Snuggletummy. She fashioned it from a set of compression therapy fabric sleeves, soft plush material shaped like a cat, vibrating nodes with adjustable frequencies, a heating coil powered by a safe microcore battery, a scent emitter, lavender and vanilla, soft audio speakers programmed to purr and play gentle sounds. By the time she was done, the machine looked like a weighted purring plush belly wrap, complete with cat ears and a button that meowed when pressed. It's perfect. It's cute. It's functional. It shall destroy MNSTRL's suffering. She strapped it around her stomach, pressed the purring button. And then something happened. 3:07 p.m., the moment Izumi froze, feeling an overwhelming sense of comfort wash over her. Machi, her emotional support cat, tilted his head in confusion. The vibration from the device had hit just the right spot, providing her with a soothing sensation. For context, Izumi's sensory issues meant she could feel textures intensely. And she had just built a machine that was technically providing her with relief. I feel like I'm floating through space made of hot cocoa. 3:12 p.m., Discovery Katsuki walked in and saw her lying on the floor, hugging herself, blushing. What did you build this time? She handed him the blueprints with a trembling hand and a big grin. It snuggles your tummy and makes all the pain go away. Katsuki read the blueprints, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. Oh no. Oh no. 4 p.m., emergency teacher meeting. The faculty gathered in the staff room, where Project Snuggletummy sat on the table. Saiko sipped her tea, looking resigned. Katsuki sat at a distance, staring into space. Principal Nizu had tears in his eyes from laughing. She accidentally created a therapeutic device that provides comfort. Miss Azome was the first to recover enough to speak. Okay. We need to handle this delicately. We can't have a 12-year-old unknowingly inventing a commercial-grade comfort device. It purrs, Saiko added helpfully. And meows. And smells nice. They stared at the device in silence. 4:15 p.m., the legal panic begins. HPSC review file, subject, Midoriya, Izumi incident classification, unintentional creation of medical adjacent sensory device. Subject did not demonstrate any awareness of implications. Her words were, quote, "It's like hugging a marshmallow made of happiness." HPSC recommendation, do not allow unsupervised prototype testing involving personal body zones. Assign an adult female technical supervisor for MNSTRTN-related invention attempts. Immediately rebrand the device as a sensory soothing wrap. Never refer to it by its original name. 6 p.m., the aftermath. Inko sat Izumi down to explain, very gently, why her invention needed adjustments. Izumi blinked in surprise. So, it's too effective at stopping the pain. Well, yes, Inko replied. So, I invented something revolutionary, right? Inko sighed. Yes, sweetie. You might have changed the future of MNSTRL pain management. But we need to modify the design. Izumi, ever innocent, pumped a fist in the air. That's a win, baby. Machi meowed in agreement. 8 p.m. Final notes. Device status, renamed Sensory Relief Wrap, modified to reduce direct vibrational STMLTN intensity. Still purrs. Still smells like cookies. Currently being patented as a medically approved therapeutic tool. Izumi status, cheerfully building a mood ring but for hormones project. Still unaware she almost created a revolutionary product. Hugged Katsuki for 20 minutes while chanting, Team Science wins again. Katsuki has not emotionally recovered. Psycho's journal entry, that night Izumi remains entirely unaware of the chaos she causes. Her mind is a pinball machine of genius and creativity. I fear what she will do next. I also have a $50 bet that she accidentally invents cold fusion by age 14 while trying to make a better kettle. The day health class died. 10:45 a.m. A lesson no one was ready for. Health class had always been one of the calmer PRDS on Izumi's schedule, mostly because it wasn't science or inventing. Miss Hanazawa, the health teacher, had only joined the school 3 months ago. She was in her late 20s, enthusiastic, and just a bit overconfident. Today, she had made a choice. Alright class. Today we're covering human reproduction. Everyone open your books to chapter 11, The Miracle of Life. The collective groan from half the classroom was almost loud enough to hide the faint sound of Katsuki's forehead hitting his desk. Izumi blinked and flipped her book open eagerly. Is this gonna be about how babies are built? Wait, is it like organ 3D printing? Katsuki silently mouthed, "Save me," to Psycho. 10:50 a.m. Step 1, a vocabulary minefield. Miss Hanazawa smiled as she clicked on the digital board. Terms began popping up: SPRM, OVM, fertilization, uterus, LBR, CRVX, PLCNT. Izumi, a scientific prodigy, read each one carefully and then tilted her head in confusion. Are we assembling something? Katsuki made a strangled sound. Psycho calmly took a deep sip of her tea. No, Izumi. This is about natural biology. Not engineering. Izumi scribbled something in her notes, uterus portable nutrient chamber. 10:55 a.m. The video. Miss Hanazawa, still beaming, introduced the educational short film. Now class, I want you to understand that childbirth is a natural, appealing process, so we're going to watch a short video of a real BRTH. It's a bit intense, but educational. Katsuki exclaimed, Nope. Psycho added, I will require emotional support tea after this. Izumi, full of curiosity, said, Wait, real-life baby creation. OMG, show me, I wanna learn. 11 a.m. The video begins. The screen faded in. Gentle music. A soft narrator. Izumi's face was beaming with excitement. Then, the woman on screen began pushing. Izumi leaned forward in amazement. Is that the head? Is she? Oh my gosh, is that a real baby? Is that a whole person? Half the class was cringing. 3 kids cried. Katsuki pulled his hoodie over his face and whispered, "Please kill me." Saiko's soul left her body. Izumi. She was fascinated, completely untouched by the horror. This is amazing. Humans are so squishy but so powerful. It's like watching a human 3D printer in reverse. How is the head so big? 11:10 a.m. The questions begin. The video ended. Miss Hanazawa turned back to the class, pale and sweating. Izumi raised her hand. So if the baby is made from one cell and it grows inside the uterus, which is like a biological pocket dimension, how does it know when to come out? Is there like a timer? Also, where do they put the baby when it's out? Does it go back in if you change your mind? Oh. Do the muscles auto-repair after? Can you do it twice? Miss Hanazawa blinked. Oh. Also, how do you even get the SPRM in the uterus? Do you, like, pour it in with a funnel? The room erupted into chaos. Katsuki slammed his head into the desk. Saiko simply whispered, "You did this to yourself, Hanazawa." 11:30 a.m. The staff room emergency debrief. Miss Hanazawa, emotionally defeated, slumped in the teacher's lounge, sipping cold coffee. I didn't know. I thought she'd get bored or embarrassed and zone out like the other kids. Miss Azome patted her back sympathetically. No. You put the most curious child in Japan in a room and gave her access to exactly the kind of information her brain thrives on. She is the embodiment of curiosity. And now she knows how babies are made. 1 p.m. Izumi's summary essay. The class had been assigned a 250-word essay. Izumi handed in 4 typed pages, complete with diagrams, citations, and a hypothesis about using vibration therapy to ease contractions. Title: The Biological Wonder of Uterine Muscle Adaptability and Childbirth Engineering Potential. Conclusion paragraph: BRTH is like downloading a human from biological Wi-Fi. I think women are superheroes. Also, I think the uterus is a natural hyperadaptive material chamber that needs more respect. Miss Hanazawa cried. 2 p.m. HPSC Medical File Addendum, Subject, Midoriya, Izumi Note. Following today's health class incident, it has come to our attention that subject possesses no romantic or contextual understanding. An innocent brilliance that makes standard health education profoundly unprepared for her. Addendum recommendation: health education to be delivered via customized science modules approved by neurologists, biologists, and a therapist. Any future videos to be pre-screened for Izumi's sake. 3:30 p.m., Katsuki's notebook entry, revised text. She asked if babies were downloaded from the cloud. She called the PLCNT a Wi-Fi router. She said the umbilical cord was a biological Ethernet cable. I'm done. I'm actually done. I'm going to live in a cave. 4 p.m. Saiko's tea reflection. Today, I witnessed the full destructive capacity of weaponized innocence. The only thing more terrifying than Izumi's energy is her ability to ask questions no one can answer without feeling overwhelmed. I admire her. I fear her. I need more tea. 1:15 p.m. Hope dies again. After barely surviving the reproduction talk, Miss Hanazawa sat before her class with the haunted look of a woman who had seen the abyss and tried to lecture it about PBRTY. She looked at her notes and realized what was next: BRST development and LCTTN. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, whispered a prayer to whatever God protects teachers, and turned on the projector. 1:16 p.m. The moment everything went wrong, again. Slide title: Mammary Glands, Functions and Development. Izumi gasped so loudly several students flinched. We're learning about bub. Technically, melons. I love melons. Katsuki made a choking noise. Saiko did not look up from her tea. Meanwhile, Izumi was already taking notes like this was Nobel-worthy. I've always wondered. Why do they get bigger during PBRTY? What triggers milk production? Is it heme-regulated protein synthesis? Could you replicate that in controlled lab settings? Miss Hanazawa tried to steer the ship back on course. Melons are composed mostly of fatty tissue and milk ducts. During PBRTY, estrogen causes them to develop. Their primary biological function is for feeding infants. Izumi's hand shot up like she was launching a satellite. So they're like mini biological dispensers. Ms. Hanazawa paused. I suppose in a way, yes. Like drink dispensers but for babies. Very biologically simplified, but yes. 1:20 p.m. The milk situation. Izumi stared at the diagram of the milk ducts in stunned awe. So the milk is produced inside the body when someone's PRGN. Is that like cellular level recipe activation? Does the milk flavor change based on what they eat? What's the protein ratio? Can it be manipulated? Katsuki had entered full mental shutdown. She's gonna make a beverage machine, he muttered. Psycho looked up slowly. I give it 15 minutes. 1:25 p.m. Izumi's first scientific proposal. Without waiting for further instructions, Izumi tore a page out of her notebook and began furiously sketching. If we assume BRST tissue growth is regulated by estrogen sensitivity and nutrient intake, then a targeted stimulant could enhance natural development without surgery. Ms. Hanazawa blinked. What? What if we engineered a wearable patch that uses microvibrations and thermal feedback to STMLT mammary gland expansion? Paired with amino acid absorption boosters and estrogen mimetics extracted from tofu derivatives, Psycho remarked, you're making a growth patch. She's making a growth patch. Katsuki exclaimed, why are you letting her do this? I'm doing science. 1:30 p.m. The prototype sketch, yes, already, on her tablet, Izumi presented, Project Marshmallow Boost V1. 0. It included microthermic STMLTN to simulate hormonal heat mapping, hypoallergenic adhesive for skin safety, targeted amino acid enhancers, and a support gel. You can literally grow your chest without a scalpel. It's like gardening but for your body. 1:32 p.m. Emergency staff call. A blur past the open classroom door. It was Miss Azome. She had seen the whiteboard from the hallway. What is she doing? Making non-invasive enhancements. Izumi said cheerfully. It's technically possible with biochemical regulation. Miss Azome's expression shifted. We are going to be sued into a crater. 1:40 p.m. Faculty emergency meeting. Ms. Hanazawa stood in front of the health board. I didn't expect her to invent a biotech product in 20 minutes. The principal responded, you let Izumi Midoriya hear the word LCTTN in an academic setting. Hanazawa defended, it was in the curriculum. Miss Azome added, so is learning about digestion. If you say the word enzymes near her, she'll build a gut biome reactor. 2 p.m. Izumi's afternoon journal entry, today I learned about mammary glands. Did you know they're full of ducts and milk sacs and are functionally nutrient dispensers for baby humans? That's amazing. I invented something to help with tissue expansion for people who feel insecure about their size. Also, I want to try almond milk instead of regular milk to see if it changes flavor production. Attached doodles, a stimulator shaped like a cat paw, an alternate design featuring tiny vibrating wings, for comfort, and a sticker that says, Boosty Buddy. With sparkles. 3 p.m. HPSC file addendum. Subject, Midoriya, Izumi update, created a non-invasive device for germ-free enhancement. Uses science, not surgery. Appears unaware of its social implications. Describes it as a friendship machine for chests. Directive, do not allow her to present this at the school invention fair. Seriously. Do not. Assign an adult supervisor with medical training. Also assign 2 therapists. And a lawyer. Epilogue, Psycho's T reflection. Again, it started as a lesson on biology. It ended with a child creating ethical biohacking technology for enhancement. She made a Wi-Fi enabled patch. There is no God. There is only Midoriya.